Hey everyone. All right, so we're doing a review for an album I actually not too long ago said I probably wouldn't do, or I might eventually get around to doing if I found a good cheap price for a used copy or whatnot. I found a good cheap used price for a copy. $15.99. Picked it up at a local shop called Going Through Vinyl. They deal more specifically with vinyl. I typically pick up compact disc, but Going Through Vinyl, I know I don't do a lot of plugs and I try not to plug, but these guys are really cool, really worth checking out if you are a major vinyl collector. You're going to pay a few bucks, but this guy goes really high end, really takes care of the vinyl, makes sure everything's in top notch condition. He carries some low end stuff too, if you ask, but he is more of a high end listener. And for the true vinyl audiophiles, that's where you want to go for classic vintage stuff and that. You can get newer stuff from him too, but and just because I mentioned him, the other places I usually go, just so I'm not showing bias here, the other place I usually go, there's Dr. Disc Records, which is also a local one, which has been our local one forever. Does new and used, everything like that. Love Dr. Disc, right in the downtown Windsor core. And then we've got Sunrise Records, which is Canadian record store franchise, which thank God they still exist and they're doing good business because I don't want them to go anywhere. I love Sunrise Records. So I'm supporting local, and I'm supporting Canadian. All right, that being said, Kiss Alive 4, and this was done with Symphony. Half of it. All right, so this is a 2-disc set. It's nice and full. I believe this was one particular show, or it could be a couple shows mashed together. I'm not 100% sure. I really didn't check into it. First show with Tommy Thayer instead of Ace Frehley, and the last run going into the last tour where Peter Criss was still part of the tour. So, I'm going to rattle off the track listing first, and then we're going to go into a breakdown of how this works. Okay, so actually, I'm going to break this down partially as I go. So, they've got this as Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 is Kiss going out doing Deuce, Strutter, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Lick It Up, Calling Dr. Love, and Psycho Circus. Just as Kiss. No strings with them, no nothing. It's just good old-fashioned Kiss going out there, punching out the first 6 songs. Deuce is Deuce, Strutter is Strutter. Let Me Go Rock and Roll. I don't mind that too. That's a fun one when it's on there. I'm not a big fan of Lick It Up. Yeah, it is what it is. I love Calling Dr. Love. If you're one of my regular viewers, you know that already. Or even if you're just one of the ones that keep coming back for the Kiss reviews, you know that I love Calling Dr. Love. And the song Psycho Circus, it's not a horrible song. It's just meh. All right, then we get into Act 2. This is with the Melbourne Symphony Ensemble. This was basically done mostly with strings, maybe some light flutes, whatnot. Very light. This is the pretty section. This is where we got Beth, Forever, Going Blind, Sure Knows Something, and Shandy. Shandy, I'm positive I've never talked about before. And I'm positive I know nothing about this song. And I still don't want to know anything about this song. Even with the symphony, I want to know nothing about this song. Beth, okay, you knew Beth had to be on here with the symphony and all that crap because, oh, wait, they could actually do it with the proper strings live, no tapes. Forever's an okay tune, I guess. I like it and I don't like it. Like, it's problem is here is having Beth Forever and Forever going back to back is annoying. I really enjoy Going Blind. And I really liked it on here, and I thought it was really good. The problem is you've got 3 slow songs in a row. And it really drags things down. And especially since this is the back half of the first disc, it makes me pretty much never want to listen to the first disc. You know, when it comes to the first disc, I will go and grab Calling Dr. Love. This isn't even the best version of Calling Dr. Love off of Alive. So when it comes to the first disc, I'm going on it for Going Blind, and that's it, you know? Yeah, Going Blind. I'll take Going Blind off, and I really enjoy Going Blind. So I will take Going Blind off here with the symphony on or the ensemble on it. It sounds great. Cherry. But that's it for the first disc. The second disc is where Act 3 kicks in, and this is when they bring out the full symphony to play with them. But the song choices they picked, and then I went to see who wrote the arrangements, and I couldn't find a writing credit in here for the arrangements, so I'm assuming it was the composer that did the arrangements. And I don't know who made what decisions with what, but most of the orchestra work on here is very basic. You know, like they're doubling up the chords that are being used, or they're, you know, just playing within the chords that are being used. They're extending out certain parts. But it really, to me, most of the songs, like there's a lot of songs on here I don't understand why they even used. And I think there were some big mistakes and some bad choices made. But for example, though, Black Diamond, we're talking about a song that had lots of room to put flourishes in, to give the percussion section some room to play with and really get in there, like get some good temp work going, stuff like that. I played in my high school band, okay? And what I would have done with this, back in the days, okay, by the time I was out of high school and out of the high school band, I was when I had access to Cakewalk, I used to regularly take, you know, songs from rock bands and I would put symphony parts into them so I could learn how all the instruments in the symphony worked and whatnot. And this whole section, but Black Diamond, I'm using this because Black Diamond was a song that I did play with a little bit. And the flourishes I put in there and stuff like that to give it this vibe and feel to add to what was already there. Like Michael Kamen did with Metallica with S&M. It wasn't about doubling up what was already there. That's cliche, that's boring, that's easy to do. You know, one of the things that made Dream On with the symphony orchestra on the Last Action Hero soundtrack so amazing was but once again, Michael Kamen. The symphony had parts added to it to enhance the song. These aren't enhancing, they're just enforcing. All right, so let's get into the track list. We got Detroit Rock City. I love the song, but with an orchestra, it's just silly. King of the Nighttime World. Okay, that one I can understand. Do You Love Me? Really? No. Shout It Out Loud. God of Thunder. Okay, that one made sense. Love Gun, not so much. Black Diamond totally made sense. Great Expectations. Why? I Was Made for Loving You. Actually, okay. So, yes, that's one I got a weird fascination and enjoyment out of that song. And then Rock and Roll All Night. Now, you know, Rock and Roll All Night had to be in there, okay? So that was a given. But out of the rest of them, you know, God of Thunder absolutely works, makes sense with that. Black Diamond absolutely makes sense with that. I realized they were touring with the original band. I know I mentioned the Tommy Thayer part earlier. I know they were touring with the original band, and because they were touring with the original band, they were only doing original band songs, which small part of me is kind of a little annoyed by that. Because this should have had God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. It should have had it. of all Kiss songs that lend right away to a friggin' orchestra backing, God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. Should have been on here. Should have been. Absolutely. And not having it on here was stupid. So stupid. Should have told, realistically, with having Tommy there and with having, you know, fine, you could have brought Eric Singer in at a drop to fill in for Peter Criss to get that song on this set list for the one night. One damn night. Sorry, folks. There are definitely other songs I think should have been on here as well. And I actually think Calling Dr. Love should have been moved into the orchestra section. And that's because I would have loved to have heard the violins actually playing the guitar parts. Not the guitar playing the guitar parts. I would have loved to have heard the violins coming with a wow, 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 wow. You know, it would have been awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, the whole way around, this was just an exercise in bad judgment and piss poor calls. I don't know who was managing Kiss at this point, but they should have bitch slapped both Gene and Paul and said, "What the hell are you doing?" There are, outside of God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too, there are other songs. I hate to say it. Gene Simmons' Rock and Roll Hell should have been on here. The one that was off of his, it was off, what was it, Creatures of the Night? That should have been on here. Ace always said he regretted never playing it. It should have been on here. He could, if we took out that and what, you know, Ace, opportunity lost. Opportunity lost. I think Creatures of the Night actually itself would have been a good tune as well, but we're not going to get as far into that one. I'd have to go take a look at some of the other listens, but yeah, I think there was just Parasite could have been an interesting one. I don't know. The whole way around, though, will I listen to this again? Sure. Okay. You know, like I'm going to put this in, and I will definitely put the symphony parts in more often. And now going with the songs that are on here, I'm not a huge fan of King of the Nighttime World to begin with. Do You Love Me is not a song I've ever been a huge fan of to begin with. Shout Out Loud, you know, it's a fun song. God of Thunder, I absolutely love. Love Gun, that's a fun song. Black Diamond's a great tune. Great Expectations. Why the hell is Great Expectations on here? Oh my God, what a waste. What a waste. I Was Made for Loving You, like I said, is fun. And have that disco-y thing going on with the orchestra is just kind of fun. But once again, I think the orchestra didn't do as much as they could have done on this one. I really, and then Rock and Roll All Night, you know. Yeah, I'm done rambling. I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys. Am I being too hard on this one? Let me know down below. And I like symphony stuff. I love when bands work with symphonies. I cannot wait for the Alice Cooper symphony album to come out, man. You know, there's a one online where, okay, I would like, because Alice did it with, I believe, the Melbourne Symphony as well for the video I saw online, or was it Germany? Oh, I don't remember which. Okay, I want to say it was Melbourne. Recent video online, for first time ever, Alice Cooper performed Might As Well Be on Mars live on stage. Why? Because he had an orchestra that could fill out the sound, make it sound beautiful, made it sound perfect, and didn't just duplicate what was already there. They added stuff to it. Sounded really, really good. So I'm hoping that there's a whole freaking concert that gets released with that. And it's everything that this album should have did and didn't do. That's really how I feel about this. This was such a wasted opportunity. Like when you look at S&M, S&M was absolutely brilliant. When you look at all the death metal bands out there, or like black metal, or like the one that's coming to my mind is Cradle of Filth, Danny Filth specifically. Not a huge Cradle of Filth fan specifically because I don't like Danny Filth's voice, but his vocals, or I mean his music that he writes and stuff like that and co-writes and that is brilliant. Absolutely, like I know it's a lot of computerized synth orchestra kind of stuff put in there as opposed to real, but the fact that he's still putting that stuff in there, like it's great. It sounds good. And this is just All right, folks, I'm done. I'm going to stop rambling here because that's what this is. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. On your way down there, if you could hit the like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications, please and thank you. I'm trying to get the numbers up. That'd be great. Really appreciate it. There's a couple links worth checking out. Otherwise, folks, peace, love, take care, and this might be the big kiss off.